Hello and welcome to this, our very first lecture, and this section on setting up our sandbox, putting together the environment in which we are going to learn how to write some PLSQL code. Should be great fun. In particular, in this lecture, we are going to learn how to download and install Oracle Express Edition as well as SQL Developer. Those are going to be the tools that we are going to be working with on a regular basis. In addition, we are going to learn how to create a connection within SQL Developer, create a user, put that schema together. In particular, our example schema is going to be one around American football. In particular, our script is going to be called Returning the Packers to Glory. But really is unimportant what environment or what theme we use for our database, because our examples are going to be pretty real world and yet generic, so it's reasonably unimportant. It's just I'm a big American football fan, and as such been in my family for a long time. In fact, my father-in-law was a American football coach for 30 plus years. Both of my sons played, so it's an easy place for me to get excited about some cool examples. In particular, we're going to write some code around a database which records current and historical NFL games, and then can be used to predict the next best play based on current conditions. It's just a fun example. Yeah, given that background, let's jump inside and create our sandbox. Should be great fun.
Hey guys, get used to this kind of format because this is how I run most of my lectures. I begin with a brief introduction, then fade out and just do narration while you guys look at code and or what I'm describing. Once that part of the lecture is completed, I culminate with a face-to-face review again. In addition, remember, each lecture also comes with a resource materials file which contains my full script. So if you miss something, you can either go back and review the video or check out that resource materials file. In addition, all lectures which contain coding examples also have an associated text file which contains that code. Be certain to download and recreate all those examples. Now this is, of course, a PLSQL programming course. And to run PLSQL, you need an instance of Oracle. So before we go any further, please stop and download and install the current version of Oracle Express Edition as well as the SQL Developer platform. I'll be using version 11G, but that's only because I'm too lazy to upgrade to version 12. No big deal because as far as we're concerned, there's really no difference. One important thing when you're doing that install, Oracle's going to ask you to set a password for the system user. Write that password down somewhere because you need to have it throughout this course and going forward. Okay, I'm now going to fire up SQL Developer. This is the developer landing page. The page allows Oracle to broadcast out new training materials, documentation, release information, stuff like that. Nothing here for us other than this connection menu over here in the upper left. We're going to begin by creating a new connection for the system schema. Start by simply clicking this little plus icon and then filling out the new connection form. We will call our new connection system. The username is of course system, and the password is whatever you used during that Oracle instance creation. You probably want to go ahead and save the password, and always make sys and system connections red so you don't forget and do something stupid in them. The connection type basic and default roles are fine, and if you're running Oracle on your personal computer, then these localhost port and SID should all be fine with the defaults. Okay, before we save, we test to ensure our connection works. Our connection worked fine. However, had it failed, we probably needed to go out there and start the Oracle services. On Windows, like my box, we do that by bringing up the control panel and clicking on the Administrative Tools menu. From there, we find the Services utility, scroll down to the Oracle instances and the Listener services, and start those guys up. I set those guys to automatically start, so going forward, I don't have to mess with it. All right, now to open a work area using the system connection, simply double-click on that connection. Ta-da! We're now connected to the database as system and ready to start executing commands. In our case, those commands are going to come from the return the packers to glory.txt resource file. In my case, of course, that guy lives on my laptop. You guys will have to download it from the resource materials list. Open that file up in your favorite text editor. I use Notepad and sometimes WordPad, but anything like that is fine. You don't have one of those guys? Go ahead and download them, they're free. Anyway, the top of that file are 3 lines of code which first drop the MyNFL user with Cascade, then recreate the MyNFL user and assign them a password, and then finally grant connect and resource to that user. Go ahead and copy those guys into the system work area and execute them. Note, the drop will likely throw an error as that user will probably not already exist on your system, but that's standard practice for creating a new user just in case a mess was left out there. Okay, go ahead and commit these commands and close out of system while we're done in there for now. Next, let's go ahead and create a new connection for the MyNFL user. Remember, the password for that guy was set to my_NFL_PW. I'm going to make this connection green because he's generally safe to use. Go ahead and save that password and test the connection. Should work fine if your system connection worked, but we're all professionals and go through all the steps just to make sure. All right, now please go ahead and connect to the MyNFL schema and start creating our database objects. Really, all very straightforward here if you know your SQL. We create some tables, insert some rows. I think we create a sequencer down there near the bottom somewhere, but really, no big deal at all. All right, I'm going to leave you here, but please go ahead now and complete creating and populating your MyNFL schema according to this script. When you're done, go ahead and finish viewing this lecture.
All right, guys, given that information, you should now be in a position where you've got Oracle XE installed and up and running. If you're having trouble, remember, get those services working, both the instance as well as the listener. And you should have some connections built in SQL Developer, as well as the MyNFL user schema created. All right, in our next lecture, we are going to start looking at the fundamentals of the language. In particular, we're going to start at the start with data primitives. In the interim, get out there and have some fun today, but learn something. It's important.